All right, happy Friday, Glenn Stein, Realty Executives in the Villages here. It's February 26th, and I've been giving everybody an update pretty much almost every week on a Friday, giving you an update as to what's going on in our market and sometimes a little bit of macroeconomics looking at the nationwide numbers as well, because I also coach uh, agents around the country with the Tom Ferry organization, and obviously the broker for Realty Executives in the Villages that serves the Villages, SoCal, and the surrounding areas in Florida. So, giving you an update as to what's going on, more of the same. The trend continues, and I think what's really important is that we realize that from the beginning of 2020, when COVID hit, almost every week, there was a little bit of a change, or at least there was more fluctuations in the marketplace in clusters. What I mean by that, there was like you know, when obviously when COVID hit, there was probably about a 10-week period where very little was happening. There's always something, even in something like that, we still had, a handful, and I'm really a handful of deals that occurred. Just to give you an idea, back in when we're looking at closings in April, May, June, we're looking at numbers that were maybe 90 closings for the Villages in MLS for the entire market. So it's very, very that was very light. That was probably a good 50 to 55% off the target in those key months, because everybody was really in quarantine. We had the lockdown here in Florida for 30 to 45 days, and obviously after that, things have kind of settled down a bit. We've seen an increase, obviously, in the amount of traffic, the increase in amount of business being done, starting from that, May, June, valley, and now it's climbed up from there steadily. Because of that, we saw a rise in inventory up to about 428 properties on MLS in the Villages, and now we're below 300 significantly. And the result of that has been, many things. Obviously, the uh, the frenzy that we've seen around the country for people that are selling their homes rapidly, getting top dollar, above top dollar, and selling their homes and being able to buy something here. Interest rates being low, new construction in areas around the country has been light over, probably a 7 to 8 year period up until maybe the mid 2015 area. And because of that, we've seen a shortage of inventory around the country, rentals and for sale. And because of that, now we're seeing just a massive frenzy in real estate, just probably the craziest, most active. I shouldn't even label it as crazy, just the most active real estate market we've ever seen for the longest period of time is happening right now. Are we in a real estate bubble? Some people have asked that in the past. It doesn't look like we are, but it seems like this is just the new norm, and maybe it might slow down a little bit. We've seen a little bit of that around the country, just a tad, not a lot, just a tad, a little bit more inventory coming on the marketplace, and we're talking about the slightest, or like going from 200 degrees to 199 in temperature as far as the market goes, because interest rates climbed up a little bit. But more specifically, when we're looking at the Villages market, the market numbers pretty much bear out what we've seen. Let's see, we're in I don't know what this is, week 8 in 2021. And I'd say 6 or 7 weeks out of the 8 have been pretty hot, meaning many more properties leaving the marketplace, going under contract versus what's coming on the market. Significantly, like 20 to 30 deal gaps or listing gaps. And this week, no exception, last 7 days, 36 new properties came on the marketplace, and 87 properties went under contract. Okay. So that's a significant number. Actually, I'm sorry, 67. I'll double check my numbers here. 67 properties went under contract. So we're looking at a 31 listing difference, or a loss of 31 properties that have left the marketplace. And that just shows that inventory keeps dropping. Now, something that we need to look at is, yes, inventory keeps dropping. It's going to be interesting to see, number one, if that trend continues. Okay, so a couple of factors we need to watch out for, and we're just we need to pay attention to, and you can do the same as you're trying to figure out, okay, where is the market going? Interest rates are one thing, right? We need to pay attention to that because I think that could cool things off a bit. I'm not saying it's going to throw it's not a it's not an ice bath. It's more like room temperature water on something that's pretty warm might cool off a bit. So that could be a factor. That's one thing. The other factor is what are we going to see from people that are coming from the north of us, Midwest, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Ohio, New York, New Jersey? What is happening there? Are we going to be seeing more people moving in our direction, either because of the winter weather, like they just had, last week, there's crazy winter storm, so that obviously forced people down. But that's a typical migration that happens every single year. I think that's one thing we need to look at. And also, it's the end of February. Typically, this is where we have the most amount of traffic. It's not atypical for us to have the most amount of buyers, real buyers, looking right at this time. So that is a factor. COVID is obviously still a factor. People are feeling safer, after their vaccines. Are we going to see increased flow? We've already seen an increased demand already for next year's seasonal rentals. So this year, seasonal rentals were very, very slow and very light. We're probably about 60 to 70% off on the rental side, but makes sense, right? Like people didn't feel safe. A lot of the folks that would ordinarily come from the UK or Canada, or people that are coming from up north wanted to get their vaccines before they came down, and now it's almost March. So we are seeing some people take up some residency and rent places out in March, but the big boom is next year, and now we're starting to see a shortage there for rentals for next year, 2022, meaning that there's people are feeling safer, and we're probably going to see a strong marketplace not only throughout this year but also into next year as well, assuming that there are no disasters or anything crazy happens, which you never know. It could, right? Like we didn't expect COVID to hit us back in 2020. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Right now, the same trend has continued, and we haven't turned upwards in inventory. We're still seeing a decrease in inventory, which means prices will probably go up on some of these properties, swinging more in the seller side. The pendulum is swinging more towards the seller side. So offers, buyers going to have to come up with cleaner deals, meaning less contingencies. That's what I see moving forward. So if you have questions, my name is Glenn. Many of you have been following this channel and watching, okay, this is what we're doing. This is what's happening in the market. And I'm trying to give everybody kind of an unbiased, it's not good or bad, it just is type of approach. So give me a call, 352-572-3796, 352-572-3796. Also, you can see here our website at buysellthevillages.com, BUY, sellthevillages.com, Realty Executives in the Villages. And if you're interested in, knowing the best realtors, the best agents in the marketplace, we've got them here, and very professional, very ethical, and we try to do the best we can and doing the right thing. It's not going to happen every time. We try to do the best we can every single time, though. So hope everybody does well. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon. Take care.